He's just going ape.
I thought I was going to marry Davy Jones at some point, but it didn't work out.
Davy Jones a pirate?
No, Davy Jones was one of the monkeys.
Alex, would you co-host me again? Or I guess you don't even need to. Never mind.
Hey, Enrique Schmuley. We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I'm back.
Can you see?
And with my left eye, with my right eye, I still see blurry, but hey, got my Walgreens glasses until the 22nd when I'm gonna talk to my doctor and see what's going on, if he can fix it. So there.
Yay for Walgreens.
Yeah.
Good morning, Anne.
Hi.
Good morning, Michael. Sorry I missed my other folks by name. You all popped in at the same time, so I couldn't rattle you off. But welcome. Good morning. Does anybody have snow right now?
Not in Puerto Rico, no.
Oh, you're in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Where you have snow? Yeah, that makes sense. Is it normal amount of snow, or are you behind? Like, is it a?
It's about a normal amount of snow. We've got warm winds today, so it'll all disappear. So
It disappeared here.
Michael is showing his snow.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, out here in the gorge, in the mouth of the Columbia, it's winds about 60 miles an hour and blowing limbs off trees and things like that.
I was driving in our tornado last night. I don't recommend it. Do not recommend it.
Ooh.
I was screaming. Ken was driving. Not pretty.
Yeah, when I was stationed in North Texas, Shepherd, I was in the Air Force. I drove between two tornadoes, one on either side of the road, and I was going as fast as the car would go, and the tornadoes were tracking me. It was one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's almost like getting struck by lightning now. Like tornadoes are chasing you. 2 tornadoes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the folks who are just hopping on. Good morning from wherever you are. Hello. Just a couple more minutes before we kick off things. Anyone know any good jokes? I don't believe it all.
What did one rabbit say to the other rabbit as they were crossing the road?
Hop to it.
I don't know. I don't speak rabbit.
They said hop to it.
I think the best way to measure that a joke is good is by how many eye rolls it receives. You got a high count on that one, Bob.
Well,
good morning to the folks hopping on.
For anybody's information, I made that one up.
No, you don't say.
Don't have to you for it, right?
Shmuley's typing jokes in the chat.
Oh, Shmuley. Talking about the monkeys, Maggie told me she did not like their music, but after playing their music for an hour, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
Oh.
Very well played. That's
well played, Shmuley.
Very well played.
Good morning to the folks who are just hopping on. We are right at the top of 11. Well, I'm where it's 11 a.m. We're at the top of the hour from wherever hour you're signing in from. Nice to see you all. I am unofficially hostified. Oh, today's host. Here we go. That's me. Hi. This I'm seeing it underneath. It's a little. I always get a little bit weird about titles and things, but hi. Good to see you. I think that today might be a little bit like the substitute classrooms. I think I make some reference to that anytime that I join you all in this capacity. But if we finish our work early, then I think we can leave early. But I just have two offerings that I'd like to share with you all. We're in December, as you know, so I'm kind of thinking about end of the year stuff. Do you want me to say that out? Not in the chat?
Right.
Sorry, I'm having a telepathic convo. Okay. And it didn't work. I'm not psychic until 1 p.m., turns out. So...
1 p.m. somewhere.
1 p.m. Right. I'm in the wrong country. Good morning to the folks who are just coming on. I'm Afia. I use she, her pronouns. I'm calling in from the land of the Lenape. No, I was on Lenape land last week. I'm on Lumbee land in what's now called the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And I wanted to share some things with you all today. And before we get started, I just want us to take a deep breath together. I know that over the course of this year, we've shared a lot of time. I should have done the math. How many Saturdays, how many hours? We've invested a lot of breaths, a lot of smiles, a lot of concerns with one another, and I'm giving big thanks that we've all had some place to do that, and giving thanks for the folks who brought us to these spaces where you have a roof over your head, you have enough technology to tap in, you have a device that you can trust. So I know that it can seem trite to give thanks when things feel tense, but I do want to just name that we're all in a shared circle of gratitude when it comes to these kinds of resources. And so just want to say thank you to all the forces and sources who helped supply these things so that we can gather again. I was talking to Rabbi when he asked me if I would host today, and I was reminded that this time last year I also hosted, I think for one of the first times, and I did a kind of end of year recap of our time here in this particular community, specifically on the Saturday service, not like the clubhouse didn't exist yet, but what I want to talk about today are all Saturday service things. So if you started coming to Saturday service and now you hop onto the clubhouse, or you started on Facebook and now you're here, you've experienced religion outside the box and this community from various vantage points. And because we are made up of many sides, like each of you are calling in from a different location in the world, different time zones, different identities, we just want to find a way to hold and respect the different ways that you engage in the space and figure out the best way to continue to build together. So that's sort of my intention for today. If it doesn't sound like something you want to do, you can hop off and hop back on in like 40 minutes. Just like no hard feelings. Everyone's not always down for reflecting, but you know, I want you to do what feels good, you know? So I'm gonna take another deep breath. And to start, actually, I'd like to just name that so after this weekend, we will be fresh in the center of December. And in my personal life here, a lot of people are transitioning. Just learned of another elder who transitioned on Thursday. And so without that being the case, I know that the holidays are not the easiest time for everyone. And so I'm just naming that, like, I'm tender, I'm feeling lots of things. And if you are feeling tender also, I hope that you are doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. I wanted to share this small thing. This feels like a piece of encouragement that's helped me. Can you all see this like meme thing on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, does somebody want to read that for us? This is a picture of a tweet.
You gotta resurrect the deep pain within you and give it a place to live that's not within your body. Let it live in art. Let it live in writing. Let it live in music. Let it be devoured by building brighter connections. Your body is not a coffin for pain to be buried in. Put it somewhere else.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you for reading that. So this, I'm thinking a lot about grief, obviously, and that's been a quote that's been helpful. So I'm offering that in case you yourself have some untapped wells that are just kind of laying idle and need a new place to be. I also am just tossing this into the chat in case it's helpful for folks. There's 2 resources for therapist networks. The first one is National Queer and Trans Network of Mental Health Care Providers. The second one is sort of just a general virtual therapy network. So if you don't have access to those resources, this might be a way to do it. Just want to put a plug out for you to get the help you want and deserve. Anything else to say on that? I don't want to just brush past. All right, so one of my offerings today comes from one of my teachers, my spiritual teachers. We've been talking a lot about purpose and how a big question that you'll hear a lot of, especially these days, if you're in any kind of like spiritual direction or therapist role, is people saying, "Can you help me find my purpose? Can you help me find my purpose?" And that's been a question of mine since like I was a real emo kid. So since like 2nd grade, I was like, what am I here? What am I supposed to do? And he said something really profound. He said that all living things, all the things in the created world actually have the same purpose. He said that your purpose, also, I had to write these backwards with flipped letters because of the way Zoom turns the camera. So if it becomes illegible, that's why. So I receive your grace. He said that the purposes are to either absorb energy, transform energy, transfer energy, or exchange energy. So that every relationship you're in, every space you're in, your job, with your family, your partner, if it's not one of these things that's happening on the energy spectrum, then what you're doing is not purposeful. And this helped me a lot, actually. Rabbi brought up the other day, I was working at a hospital here, and it was not a good fit. And when I got this list, I was able to decide, like, right, I need to leave because I have no idea what kind of energetic relationship I'm having with this place. It just feels like a drain. And so...
Would you repeat those? Would you repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Reading those things.
Sure. So your purpose is either to absorb energy, to transform energy, to transfer energy, or to exchange energy. So, for example, when I was thinking about being the facilitator for today, I was thinking, okay, this is it's more than one thing. I'm going to exchange some energy because I've got this offering to give, and I'm also going to absorb some energy because I trust that you all show up with an intention of love and communal care, and I need some of that right now. So I know that this is a purposeful use of my time. And so on time, the other thing he said, which is like not a new concept, but that, is this right? Inventory? Nope, it's backwards. You see, I knew it was going to happen. He said, so forget that.
Some of us can read backwards.
The intentions are golden, Afia, golden.
Thanks. I'm trying to make this work without, a close setup.
The surprise, Afia, is that what happens is Zoom will mirror your camera for you. So you look like everything's backwards, but everybody else sees you as you are.
So is this backwards?
That's backwards.
Backwards. No.
Yes. I hate to be the bearer of all that work.
Wait, so I spent like 40 minutes trying to get it.
And what did that do to your energy?
Well, I was happy to do it, but I was a little perplexed. Like, wait a minute, I know that Rabbi does videos where he's holding up cards and he's not writing those cards backwards. Okay, so there's a lesson in this. This is poetry in motion. So
You can turn off the mirroring.
It's also an exercise for our brains.
Yeah, right?
Yes, exactly.
Keep them sharp. So the next backwards card says that your time is your inventory. Your time is your inventory. And not to get too capitalistic and framework, but like seriously, you've got a thing to give and it's your time. And you only get what you get, right? And that your energy is your currency. So how you spend it matters greatly. We're not out here just like throwing around $50 willy-nilly. And so the way that we use our time should be equally cautious. I feel like somebody should screenshot this, Rabbi. I feel like you could use this in some way.
I think you're doing beautifully. I love it.
It's amazing. I'm gonna put it on my wall.
Oh, hold it up backwards, facing you, and then we can read it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, screw the paper to the other side. Yeah, we can.
Oh, sure can. Look at that.
Oh, it's like magic. It's like appearing.
Absorb, transform, change.
Ta-da!
It's backwards, though.
It was backwards when it was forwards too, so dyslexia, you know. That's what it is.
Wow.
So this is my one offering. And the way that it fits inside. Actually, first, are there any like questions now that you know what I was really supposed to say?
Well, there's a comment in the chat to the positive of your backwards. It says, actually, by writing the info backwards makes it interesting to read. You are catching our attention, so bravo.
Thank you, Shmuley. I was a teacher, didn't even know it. Oh, tricks.
Hey, yeah, and actually transferring all that energy to us by writing backwards.
I received it. Thank you. So my hope is that this kind of a framework can help us think about the year that we've just experienced. I know that a lot of us have still had a lot of remote experiences, and yet there's still been a lot of energy exchange. And so part of my hope in sharing this at the end of December is that as you reflect on the year that we've had, you can reassess where you have purpose, where you maybe need to call some things into question with your purpose, the relationships that maybe need to be gently held in a position of pause. But also to think about this space together. And if you have a sense of what energetic, I even made a graphic of the movement of the energy. So like, if you're not here to absorb today, what energy state do you find yourself in? Am I making sense? Despite
Yes, honey, you are.
Yes.
We're absorbing it all.
Great. And transferring some gems things.
Well, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Why is it in a circle? Like, is there a process to it that it's in a circle?
So this was my adaptation of this, that like, you know, for example, this I guess we'll just keep on Saturday service. So like I said, I thought that my intention was to come and exchange some energy and to absorb some energy, but maybe by the time donuts hits, I'll have a one-on-one with someone and there's some grief that I can help to transform. And so I might be jumping between energy states, even in one interaction, but because I can name at least one of these, I know that I'm not wasting my precious currency.
Hi, sweet.
And so it's just to indicate that you may not have one it may not be one thing. It may be all of them. It may be two of them. Something like this.
So it's a continuous circle of change. Is that what
Or, yeah, back and forth, left and right, just movement.
Got it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just movement.
Very helpful.
Anything else out in the sphere?
My sense was that we show up perhaps to absorb, but by virtue of exactly what I'm doing now, we're exchanging. And exchange is a part of the system that can reinforce my own absorbing and perhaps contributes to others absorbing as well. But we also function through exchange in a very profound way in this group with the open microphones.
Amen.
Right. And well, in my case, at least, as I absorb, I keep transferring what I'm learning, absorbing here or wherever, or in any situation that I may encounter. So it's a learning experience, but it's also a chance for me to teach or teach by example, of how I react to things, or, I mean, if they're positive, of course. So, yeah, it's a continual inter-exchange of energy.
Yeah, and Shmuley, thank you both for sharing that. And the other thing it makes me think of is I've heard like pastors and other energetic healers talk about the difference between a healthy cell and a cancerous cell. And a cancerous cell is one that just gets stuck in one state of reception and it never has there's no reciprocity. And so that's a big word for me generally in life, trying to find balance. But what you said is so key that, and so part of this exercise too, as however you hold it, if you hold it beyond today, is to think about how are you getting things back out? Are you getting things back out? If not, what's underneath that? What kinds of shifts can happen so that you have a more two-way street or four-way street kind of thing going on? Because if you're just receiving or if you're just giving, right, we know how this story ends, and it doesn't end in your favor.
Congested.
That's the word. Yeah, congested. I couldn't see who said that, but yes.
I think it was Emily.
I bet.
Emily, was that you? Yep.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, congested.
Actually, I heard from a rabbi that according to the Kabbalah or Kabbalah, what happened to the world or to creation was that it was receiving but never transferring, and that's where a big explosion happened into creation, and that's what there's. So it's in bits and pieces of grace or light around the world, and now our purpose is to gather that light and make the world whole again. So we're receiving and transferring.
Please.
I thought of a personal experience of what you're talking about. I noticed that sometimes I don't feel well. Everybody knows that. I've been kind of ill lately, and the thing that is so wonderful is that when I'm with people, when I talked to Larry yesterday, Brian, and it was a wonderful conversation. And when I'm engaged on Zoom, when I'm in my improv or the acting classes or rehearsal with Rita, I am, because we've got this energy transfer going on, I don't think about one thing hurting or feeling crummy. And that is the example I think that you're getting at, that when we are fulfilling the purpose of just transferring our energies to each other in just such a loving way, it heals and it changes the structure of what we are. Did that make any sense?
All of sense. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I find it just the most wonderful thing to be with people and hopefully I'm giving somebody an outlet to like let's release what we don't need and let's just share ourselves with each other and then we create that third element of the us and that bubble of beauty.
I like that, Shirley.
Okay, I'm through. I just thought I would summarize some of what I think you're saying.
That's great. Yeah, thank you, Shirley. And I suspect, I think I've said this in different ways, but when I do a lot of like listening, I'm listening for patterns when I'm here, just as like, that's a way that I show group care is like trying to get a sense of where we're at together. And I think what you just explained might also be a lot of the experience that other folks have of this space, which is why they keep showing up, right? Like you've had a shitty week, you've had a difficult morning, and then you're here and this back and forth, whether it's during this hour block or the post-service stuff, the healing really emerges by the time your Saturday is finished. So someone please correct me if I'm projecting.
Amen.
You're not projecting. You got it right.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks. So in line with this sort of energy exchange, I come from traditions that often call them prayers of the people, and that these times when we say the names of folks who are celebrating or in a space of need, that those be times for this kind of exchange to happen in whatever way makes sense. So Joe, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to ask you to read those folks off, and we can do some of that energy transfer in whatever non-woo-woo but meaningful, serious way makes sense, so we can love on our community members.
I will read as non-woo-woo as possible. All right, we have Katie, Jocelyn's mom, Ken, Joe, Abby, me and my husband, Betsy Morrow, cousin Amy, Derek, Ian, who is Derek's son, Chad, Margaret, who is Alex's mom, Carol, who is Lee's mom, Abby, who is Stephen's daughter. There's flooding in British Columbia. For the folks who are having challenging times because it's the holidays in December, Christina Post, Monica Metzler, Jeffrey Williams, Amy, Eve, Anne, Hillary, Joe Biden's conference on democracy in the States as elsewhere, and Eileen Ditoma texted me right before we started, and her COVID is actually getting worse.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
We need to add the people in the Midwest after last night.
Amen to that. Thank you, Harold.
Yep.
Thank you for lifting those names up. We hear you, we feel you, we are holding you all. Okay. So the next thing I was wondering about us doing is just a quick check-in, maybe not quick, I don't know, a check-in of how you all are reflecting about the Saturday services this year. Rabbi asked a question, and this was maybe weeks ago. To me, we were chatting, and he said, like, how do you know that you're getting what you need? And I thought that was a really great question. And it inspired me to go a little bit further and think about, like, yeah, how does Rabbi know if he's giving you what you need? How do you know you're getting what you want? And so to simplify, I think maybe wanted to just start and open up the speaking for folks to share what were moments that were highlights for you this year in the services. Maybe it was a lesson, maybe it was a moment, just some things that help us get a sense of what's pinging the best parts of you. So you can take some time to hear from you all about, like what went well, what are you taking with you as a general participant of the service?
Okay, the one thing that I'm thinking of is just knowing that you all are there, knowing that like on 11 o'clock on any weekday I can check in. I can have people that I check in with. And there's always somebody there. And on 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock on Saturdays and so on. I mean, I sometimes in this time of being in my own house most of the time, and sometimes lonesome, and you wish that there was a neighbor that you could feel free enough to stop by anytime, and this gives us that.
Thank you, Betsy. And I'm sorry I'm looking at you. I'm write down some of the things you all say. So thank you for sharing that, Betsy.
I'm going to just kind of build on what Betsy said. I'm anything but lonely. I got 4 other folks in this house, and I'm teaching in a crowded high school. But I sometimes feel like the world is full of lunatics, and I love to come to this safe harbor and just hear people speaking from their hearts and caring for one another, and it just, week after week, it fills my cup. So thank you, everybody.
And if we want to like thank each other, like y'all think, yeah, we can. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Betsy.
For me, it is learning to have gratitude for little things. And this group is anything but a little thing for me. You guys are my lifeline, and that's a literal thing. But learning to be grateful for the little things I have in my life, and being satisfied with what I have without always looking for more.
Thank you, Ray.
For me, I don't know whether to talk now or not.
Go for it. Yeah, you're up. Go for it.
For me, this is the only congregation I have ever belonged to, and come back week after week. And partly it's because, well, it makes sense to me. The things that we talk about, that Rabbi Brian forth. Sometimes those little drawings don't work for me, but that's a different thing. But, and to me, the only hope for me to make a change in what I don't like happening is by participating in groups like this and spreading it on, that it's all, I've got this Martin Luther thing, and it's all connection. And the connection here is what you wrote about. And I'm very thankful for it.
Would you rather that Rabbi wrote backwards instead of drew little? I think we can read that.
Both an equal challenge.
Is it sorry? Sari? I wanted to say your name correctly.
Yep. It's the non-judgmental aspect of so many people, albeit on screen. There's often nods or thumbs up showing that there's participation and listening. So that non-judgmental listening on a weekly basis is very comforting, and knowing it's there as a lot of people have said.
Thank you.
For me, it's that every I look forward to Saturday service, because it calls out the very best in me from all of you.
We only ever get to see the best in you, Emily.
That's true. I was thinking that what has been the most wonderful gift I've gotten from this service is that there have been profound moments where my perspective has been opened, and I think that that's an ongoing benefit or moment in this group is that we get to actually
Do you
alter
have
some
my
of our
phone?
mindsets that have not served us as well as we would like in our lives, and this group helps see wonderful ways of looking at life and ourselves and each other in a new light.
Thank you, Shirley. So I'm sure there are more, but Shirley, what you said made me want to ask this question. Can folks talk about the scale of discomfort as we do this growing and learning and stretching? Like, if 10 is like, you're in those awkward moments in meetings and like you might throw up because what's happening is like so uncomfortable, and 1 is just like, little gnats trying to help you find patience. How uncomfortable has it been for you to be pressed and challenged, to bring your best self consistently, to open your mind? Does anyone have any memories of being uncomfortable and care to share about it?
No.
I'm asking. That's a brave one. I'm asking because for a couple of reasons. Is that like a collective no? There's no one who wanted to share.
Well, in my case, one problem that I had for some time, still have at times, but it's coming from a religious experience where knowing it all and knowing it well was key, and that it sometimes led to legalism. I mean, we're better because we have the truth, and you don't, and in my mind, I needed to know it well, very well, because otherwise, if I had any doubts, I was doomed. Now, after being here, sitting and learning and listening and sharing with all of you, I found the freedom of saying, hey, listen, I don't know. I don't know it all, and I don't need to know it all, and it's okay. And I found, like I've told Rabbi Brian several times, that this is my tribe, and I'm free to be me, and I'm free to say, hey, I just don't know. And I'm happy with that.
Thank you, Shirley.
Yes, I think that the thing that makes this group so special is we are non-judgmental, and we just accept people as they are.
Yeah.
And thank God for that. And however you worship he, she, it, them, like that.
Thank you, Ray. Yeah. Joe, go for it.
So, one of the struggles I know for me I've had is because, like Shmuley was saying, because I came from a very scheduled, ritual, organized pattern, my brain wanted to make this a ritual, organized pattern, which it is sort of in that, we do it regularly at the same time every week, but it isn't. But I found myself projecting onto this crew some of the stuff that came from the ritual, organized, structured thing. And so I have to unlearn, I have to tell myself, this is not the same, Joe. These are not those people. You're not sitting, that surprised me, that I had to undo. I didn't think this would trigger that, if that makes sense. But it did against my will. Like my subconscious started like, not picking, if my subconscious just started doing some of the judgmental things I would have done in a few, even though I didn't want to do them. And so I've had to like pay attention to that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Anything else on discomfort?
There's a comment in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said it's all comfortable.
Oh, okay. Well,
thanks.
I'm happy for you, Rob. That's the point. And you know what?
Joe.
Well, so I'll just. Not everybody's as lucky as you, Rob. This has been a year of tremendous losses for me: alienation of family, loss of social network, and this group has been a huge source of support.
Thank you.
What else could you want?
So, thank you all for sharing those things. I can tell you with certainty that if I get to do any more services, I will probably circle back to a better way to hold those growing pains, because to explore what's happening, partly because, and maybe this is just like my selfish or like skewed bias perspective, but I find that common points of struggle and strife can be an interesting and helpful balance to a healthy community. So, for example, if we know that there's more than just Joe and myself, I've shared some things too, like coming from pretty organized, traditional religious spaces. If we know that those things are happening, we can take better care to look after one another when we're falling into a pattern that we don't want to be in. But without knowing those things, we can replicate a lot of behaviors that did not serve us in those spaces. And now we're in a space where we have a collective agreement, a mutual understanding, a mutual value for it. And so, but without naming those things, they do stay around, just kind of flailing about in the shadows. And I think it can be an act of great care to figure out how to face some of that shadow space so that we can, demystify the boogeyman. Not to demean or judge or talk badly of the spaces that we've come from, because we are who we are, for better or worse, because of these experiences. And we don't want to reinvent a shitty wheel. And so we have to be clear about what works, what doesn't work. When does Rabbi push a soft spot? When does a guest host push a soft spot, and why? When do we in our small groups push on those soft spots? Like, what's really going on outside of the, oh, we love each other, this is great, all of these things. I hope I'm making some sense. Mm-hmm. Rob, I see you've got your hand up.
Embrace the boogeyman.
Embrace, yeah, that should be a
the boogeyman into your heart. Know that we are all the boogeyman, and that it's okay, and that the spirit of love begins with us and doesn't end until, actually, it doesn't end. There is no ending. It is infinite.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that idea of embracing the boogeyman, Rob. It's amazing what happens when you embrace that boogeyman.
Yep.
Embrace doesn't
okay. Comfort him. Make him
fall in love with them. Oh my God.
There's a couple more good comments in chat. It says, when it's so difficult to share or give, it's not easy to receive. Sometimes I just can't share as it's too emotional, so I can't reach out and get what I'm hoping for. And I just wondered if anybody else struggled. I mean, I struggle with that too.
There's a.
I think there's something. I think there's something special about this group that Brian has been able to create a safe space community so that we can sit here and say all of these lovely connected things about each other. And in that space, we are allowed to look at difficult questions and feel that we can talk openly about the difficult questions because we have a community in which it is safe to do that. And I don't know what his magic is and how he pulled it off, but it seems to be the gift that we have. That's the woo-woo-woo of this group.
I have a question. If we embrace the boogeyman, is the boogeyman still the boogeyman? Is he back there? And
no, we are the boogeyman.
Well, boogeyman sits in the back of our subconscious, just like Joe said, and we try to put our past onto the future, and sometimes that gets us in a big ditch. So if we grab the boogeyman and we hold on to him and say, you ain't going into my future because you're not helpful, then I'm not going to hug him so much because he's going to wreck my future if I'm not careful.
There's a story about this person who was supposed to go through a trial, and part of the trial was to open the door, but behind the door was a tiger. And shaking, he opened the door, and the tiger ran to him, and he couldn't run anywhere. He just stood there. And when the tiger got closer to him, he started purring like a little cat. And he petted him. And that's us meeting the boogeyman.
You know?
And for example, in my case, I did this thing called the Enneagram, and I appear to be somebody who is very, very scared about everything and very doubtful about everything, even about myself. I learned that the best thing to do is not to try to convince myself, and not to be afraid of doubts either, but just to accept that I'm not right at all the time, and that I need to take the world as it is and take myself as I am. I'll never forget one of the first things that Rabbi Brian told me when we were chatting face to face. He said, "You're okay." I just stared at him. It's like, huh? He said, "Well, your face tells me that you're not okay, but you're okay." And yesterday, actually, I was at this meeting, and the person was sharing something, and it really touched my heart. And I had to look deep down in myself and say, "Yeah, I'm okay, and I'm. It's okay for me to embrace myself with all my doubts and all my fears, but I'm okay."
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I'm
Jess
gonna
has her hand up.
have Jess share, and then we're gonna do announcements. So just because I'm watching the time. Jess, what you got?
Hi, thank you. I just was gonna touch back on to what Nikki was saying in the chat about kind of the vulnerable nature of this community, and I feel like that's one of the most beautiful things that we have here. And one thing that really helps me to be able to process what we're talking about is when we drop into the small groups, or when we have our time in donut room, or even in poetry room. Sometimes we'll just have these great conversations, or we'll just be talking about something completely different, and it will come back. What we did in service will come back in a way that is more personal. So I feel like when we take those little small group respites from the main group, I see a lot of processing and growth in people really developing what we're doing in the main group when we drop back into the smaller rooms, because sometimes it can be a little intimidating or a little bit too vulnerable in like the main space. But when we into those smaller rooms and you just have a handful of people with you, for me personally, it's a lot easier to kind of process those things then. Thank you. I just wanted to drop in and say that's something that really definitely helps me in this space.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you, Nikki, for sparking that. I think you sparked something really, really, truly true. So thank you both for sharing those things.
I think one of the things that about this group is that we're all here because we want to be here. We are not part of something that is a requirement to be here. There's no obligation, and there's the opportunity for everybody to be the person that they are without having to follow a particular script or whatever. And so I think that that's one of the beauties of this group, is that we are here in a respectful manner to interact with each other and to grow from that.
Thank you, Bob. Maria, would you like to? I'm sorry, that's a quick transition. I don't want to take the precious donut and small group times that come afterwards. So I'm just gonna have us make a real quick pivot to announcements so that we can get you into those rich spaces without going over. Maria, are you still reading the announcements?
I am. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm Maria. I am today's Saturday service announcer for this Saturday, the 11th day of December 2021. Now, I'm supposed to say, whoop, holla, cheer, hooray, but I think you guys are supposed to do that. There we go. All right, office. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Office hours. The Zoom crew hangs out with Rabbi Brian on Tuesdays. Join us here on Tuesdays. All are welcome. This same link, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Raffle tickets. Many people who have attended the service have gotten raffle tickets for acts of love, for surprising themselves by being kind and or patient. Special raffle tickets for Roz and Amy, Betsy Ann, RB himself, and Ann Zed. Clubhouse. The ROTB Community Clubhouse is a private place to be in touch and share with other ROTB peers, and it will be open on Christmas Day. If you are looking for a place to hang out on 12/25, to chat with some people, stop on by. Bonus page. If you didn't get it last week, all of the quotes used in the service are available on the bonus page. Alex is going to stick that link in the chat. RB's notes. If you are new and want some review, RB's candy sheets are available on Etsy. Graphics and words to remind you of some of the great tools discussed in the services. Link in the chat. YouTube and Facebook. The restreaming service ROTB uses reported about 20 hours of live watching per week in the last 4 weeks, which means there are about 20 people watching this on YouTube, the rotb.org website, and Facebook. RB says, howdy folk, get a link for a front row Zoom link when you sign up for the 77% weekly newsletter at rotb.org. The Shekinah group. If you'd like to join the ROTB subset who enjoy chatting about God, post in the chat and Rita will find you there. This group is wholly fun. Donations. Support this work, support RB, support religion outside the box. I do support, so go to rotb.org/donate. And another link in the chat. Talent show. It's coming up in the new year. Still looking for some variety acts? It'll be live and a bunch of fun. Post and chat if you want to be involved. James. ROTB's friend James has a birthday at the end of the month. His address is in the chat. Would you be so kind as to send him a postcard or letter? And how about a book of stamps? I don't think he could use Canadian stamps, but you know. Meditation. Here's something that's great to do. Nothing. Join our beef for a 20-minute skit every day, streaming at 2 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook. And lastly, the next hour, stick around after this group for small groups. We have Deep Dive with Alan Kipp for people who want to take a subject and burn a hole in it. Donuts with Joe and Maria for people who want to talk about topics brought up today in the atmosphere of donuts. And the Poetry Room. If you have a poem you'd like to share or listen in, meet there in the Poetry Room. And now back to you, Afia.
Good job.
Amanda Gorman just has a new book. Just got it, so I wanted to read you some poems from it.
Can you, Ron? Can you? It's blurred out because of your background. Can you hold it? There you go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, she just came out this week, and it's
great.
She's an insanely great poet.
Okay, so that's the Poetry Room. Thanks. Another deep breath for me. So, we've got 9 minutes left. I do not want to tap back into things, let you all hold what's good for donuts and deep dives. Just a quick reminder to be gentle with yourselves as this year winds down, as it's cold outside. Hope you move gingerly, drink lots of water and other delicious beverages that make you feel good in balance. And Rabbi has a thing he would like to say before we dip out.
I just want to thank all of you. I want to, I was anxious that Afia running the service and me just watching. I thought y'all might. I'm embarrassed, but I'm going to be honest.
We missed like everything.
Whatever you said, say it again. Take two.
I don't know why you were embarrassed.
I was anxious about not running the service the same way when I had a classroom. I was always anxious about, when I had a substitute. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, what the heck was I nervous for? I know these people. These people are, and you all, so I just wanted to be grateful, and I wanted to thank all of you for you being you, and especially to thank Afia for being Afia. And it's not, she makes it look effortless. I've been where she is. It ain't effortless. And also extra thanks to Joe, who's in the chat, and Alex, who's always running tech.
Thank you. I was gonna give thank you, Joe. Thank you, Alex. Also, I forgot to say hello to Facebook and YouTube watchers. So before too late, we share some love with those folks.
I have really bad news because I set it up. The only thing anyone on Facebook or YouTube is seeing is this screen.
Oh, sweet. Wait to them on our behalf.
So, yeah. Hi.
Wait.
Just me.
All right, folks. If there's anything else for the good of the group, you can hang around for your donuts and your deep dive and poetry room.
Do you want to stick around?
All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you,
Afia. Yeah, thanks, everybody. My pleasure.
Thanks, Sophia.
Thanks,
Sophia.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Thank you.
And so, Alex, you've got the shuffle deck for rooms and such?
Yeah, the rooms are open. I didn't see. Al, are you going to be moderating Deep Dive today? Anyway, rooms are open, so you guys can go in. Anybody who is on an iPad that needs help being moved to a room, let me know.
Oh, okay, me. I would like to follow Ron into poetry.
Okay. All right, let me get you. Okay, you have been sent to poetry.
Alex, did you see in the chat, Jess wants to go to poetry as well?
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I will move you, Jess.
Got your back, Jess.
All right, there you go. All right, so Jess should see the notification. It looks like she found it. Okay, anybody else? If not, Joe, take it away.
Okay. Oh, wait, Ray, I interrupted you. Do that again. My first thought is I heard in the announcements in the atmosphere of donuts. What do you all think is the atmosphere of donuts? Like, what kind of atmosphere do we provide here in donuts? I found that very entertaining.
It's sweet, interesting, with a hole in it.
Sweet, interesting, and with holes. I love it. Holes H-O-L-E or holes W-H-O-L-E?
H-O-L-E.
Oh,
I guess you could go as far as to say the whole W-H-O-L-E experience is one.
It becomes holy.
Well, now, hey, it can, but not normal.
How do we be, what do you see about donuts that you feel is worthy of the word holy? Or even what does that mean, the word holy? What does that mean to you?
They're filled with anything you want to put in.
Way to go, Rob.
So all creation is holy?
Oh, absolutely.
I believe so. All creation is holy. I mean, it reflects God's love. And this group, that's what I feel from this group. You all reflect God's love to me. And that's why it's holy.
We love that.
How about tornadoes, folks? Tornadoes are holy. They're in nature.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Last night, I will tell you, I did not feel holy on the highway with the rain and the sirens and the tornado warning on all the streets. That did not feel holy. It felt terrifying.
But is that H-O-L-Y or W-H-O-L?
Oh, you know what? You have to ask Ken. I was just screaming. I mean, that's all I just screamed my way through.
Well, you can always just stop and appreciate what's around you.
There you go.
Tornado?
And wait.
If you speed through it, you'll miss it.
Yeah. Well, one important thing about hardship is that, in my case, I learned. I mean, since I like to be a controller, when hardships come, I cannot control them. So I have to sit and let everything go and let my higher power to take over. And that is holy.
Well, you know what? In that regard, this is very interesting. How I'm transferring the energy of what happened last night. Because you know what, Shmuley? That's honestly exactly what happened. Because Ken is an experience, like he drives for a living because he does sales. So he said, I've been driving for 25 years. Really, I studied this. And so as I was going to Zonkers, he was explaining to me how he was driving safely. And so all of a sudden I found my focus going, what? So he's telling me, yes, I look from the left side and I get